welcome to CLT on Screen. This is the beginning of a programme of short plays and monologues that will be filmed and issued by CLT until such time as we can actually get our people back on the stage again. Most of the people that you will see in these films you will know and recognise as regular actors on our stage. I would like to thank personally the backstage crew that put this particular production together. Andy Hutchins as the writer of these monologues, Lexi Fox and Chania Nunes as the directors, producers and probably stage managers of the monologues, and most of all the technical crew that have enabled us to be able to film these monologues. The technical crew of Mark Townend, Ollie Clark and James Clifford, whose help to put these things up and on the internet we could not do without. We do hope you enjoy these monologues, and please look out for more programmes which we will continue to output until such time as we can actually get you into the theatre and watch us on stage again. Thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen, distinguished guests of mine this evening, I bid you welcome. For those of you who are unfamiliar with myself or my work to date, please feel free to leave and go back to whatever rock you've been living under. I jest, of course. If tonight is the night you first learn about me, then what a privilege to learn about me at the very apex of my accomplishments. Tonight I intend to share with you all the results of billions of pounds worth of scientific endeavour. We shall share in the culmination of over a decade's work on a project involving hundreds upon hundreds of experts and specialists from dozens upon dozens of disciplines and hailing from over 40 countries. The culmination of their hard work, my distinguished leadership, and the sacrifices we have all made lies under this dome before you. For as long as I can remember, I have been constantly hypnotized by flavors, both mild and strong, from the softest whisper of nutmeg in a Centellina espresso to the overwhelming tidal wave of cumin and cardamom in a freshly prepared aloo gobi. My palate is so delicate that once upon a time I drank a coffee that a subordinate had spat in, and I was able to precisely identify the exact brand of tobacco that they smoked. When I ate food, it was as if a delicate symphony were being drawn out of the food by my tongue, a symphony I could listen to for hours at a time, even if it had a vague Lambert and Butler aftertaste. The salient point here is that the pursuit of flavour has been my life's obsession. It's why God put me on this earth, and tonight that purpose will be concluded. When I left university, I went into the restaurant business. Determined to be a self-made man, I took the graduation gift my parents had given me and used it to open over a dozen restaurants in various major cities across the world. I recruited the finest local chefs to create their local cuisines in the best possible form. I held a mirror up to each of these cultures to show the citizens of each city the full potential of their national dishes and, by extension, of their national identities. It was a roaring success. My management team reported back a phenomenal response by the local communities. I'd come straight out of the gate and planted my flag firmly on the culinary map. Which was fine for a business, but what of me? By the time my restaurants were taking bookings, my appetite had developed beyond what even the best chef could produce. I searched far and wide, used every herb and every spice, and every vegetable and every cut of meat in every possible combination. There were highs, yes, but none as high as I needed to push my connoisseurship further. It was then that I made a bold new friend who approached me with a bold new suggestion. Do you know why the black rhino was as delicious as it was? Because you didn't get to have any, and I did. I paid more than the lot of you earned between you in a year to have a steak from the last black rhino to die of natural causes. It was flavoured with Mediterranean sea salt and lampong black pepper. No other herb or spice was used, nothing to obscure the flavour. It was cooked in butter by a chef of unimaginable calibre and served with potatoes and asparagus. That steak was the most delicious meal I have ever tasted. And I realised it was delicious because I would be the last person on earth to have any. You see, I could describe it to you as often as I liked, but you'd never fully experience what I'd experienced. You see, it's not just flavours that count, but new flavours, new experiences. You can season chicken breast as many ways as you like, but soon enough you'll run out of options from the Waitrose herb and spices shelf. To try something new, something that only an elite few ever get the opportunity to try, that's an exceptional flavour made divine. So I started to seek out things that most people would never even dare to eat. Of course, there was one last big taboo which I did not partake in, but up to that point, everything was mine to consume. I gave a new meaning to having one's steak rare. Now, those of you of an academic persuasion may remember the news some 14 years ago concerning some probe or other that was sent to Mars to see if it was interesting yet. The probe took soil samples, analysed them, and sent back the results, which some scientist somewhere looked at and promptly spat out their coffee. The soil was germinable, which is a boffin way of saying it would have plants grown in it. Now, a carrot grown in the soil of Earth is available at little. But a carrot grown in the soil of Mars, that's a carrot destined for my dinner plate. Of course, after cooking, it probably tastes the same as any other carrot. What I needed was something specific to the soil of Mars, something I could send up as a seed and get back down ready to eat, something that would taste different from being grown in alien soil. I consulted experts. And when they told me it was a terrible idea, I fired them and took matters into my own hands. The solution as to what seeds to send up there was simple. Aubergines, courgettes, peppers, tomatoes, onions, garlic, perhaps a little basil. All things that are affected by the temperament of the soil they're grown in. Blast the seed packets into space with a good gardener and get back down a ratatouille that is literally out of this world. Of course, I'd need a very good gardener who didn't have much to lose if things went awry. I'd need to make sure that the seeds were of the highest quality and taken only from plants of a proven pedigree. Oh, and as one of my old experts pointed out, I'd need a pretty big rocket too. Actually, the rocket was the easiest part, if I'm honest with you. After the incident a few years ago, anybody could have picked up what was left of SpaceX for pennies in the pound. It was also easy to headhunt people from NASA. Once I'd convinced a few potential investors that this was all about pushing new frontiers by sending a manned mission to Mars, blah, blah, blah. So short-sighted. Sending a manned mission to Mars just to stand there and take a selfie. They can have their selfies and their flag in some dusty crater. I'll take the real prize. It took 4 years to get the mission together. Stretched my trust fund almost to breaking point, and even with the investor backup. But that was how far I was prepared to go. The plan was simple. 11 months to fly to Mars, 45 days on the surface of the planet for my man to grow and harvest the vegetables before sticking them in the freezer ready for the trip home, and then 11 months back. The rest of the astronauts would be busy doing whatever scientific experiments I'd allowed them in order to get them to sign up. Now, those of you who have heard of me probably heard of me because of the ensuing PR nightmare. I forget the full technical explanation for what went wrong, but basically the gist of it was that the steering didn't work. It got to Mars and it just kept on going past it. And depending on how well they rationed the food we'd sent up with them, some of them could still be in there now. And if any of them indulged in the taboo that even I balk at, they could keep going for some time further yet. So hopefully the potential for them still to be alive somewhere could be a great consolation for their families. So that was attempt one. Fortunately, we were able to spin it as an act of sabotage by a foreign power, and the ensuing public outcry ensured that we got a fairly hefty subsidy from the government to finance the next few attempts. The second attempt was only 3 years later, but they got stuck in Earth's orbit for 8 months, and we had to waste a third attempt bringing them back down again. Fourth attempt had to abort their launch partway through and ended up crashing pretty spectacularly into the Greater Manchester area. Which brings us to attempt 5. Now, this was the final attempt, the one on which the whole endeavour hung. The government had cut the subsidy after we'd made a fairly minor deficit in the national budget, and the investors had all jumped ship because of losing relatives in the Manchester incident. We'd set up an investors' viewing party for the launch on the Beetham Tower, which was sort of the bullseye that the rocket fell on. But I was not the sort to back down. I'm a resourceful man, and I found a way. My restaurant empire went up for auction, and luckily for me, my father had a heart attack, which meant I at last had access to the remainder of the family fortunes. So, we launched attempt 5, and off to Mars it went. They got there in 10.5 months and landed satisfactorily. The team on board planted flags, sent back pictures, and generally made history. Unfortunately, I'd been made bankrupt in their absence, and Mission Control had to be sold off to pay down some of the incredible debt I owed. But I saw the whole thing on my laptop, and I was sure to share everything that they sent me on Twitter. Least I could do, really. After 45 days, they harvested the plants and finished off whatever else I'd had them doing in order to hide the fact that it was only me at the other end of the line. They got back into their rocket and came back to bring me this. Now, the astute amongst you will probably have noticed that this isn't exactly ratatouille. As it turned out, the Martian vegetables were destroyed when the ship burnt up on re-entry. As I picked over the remains whilst I waited for the police to arrive, I was heartbroken to see the incinerated remains of my Martian vegetable patch. Oh, it looked like one of the crew had attempted to shield it with her body in one last act of devotion, which I'm sure will bring her family some great consolation. The only edible thing that survived the crash, apart from the crew, but there again, there's one taboo that I'm not prepared to break, was this sample of moss, taken by one of the boffins I'd sent up there. It seems that whilst Mars was waiting for me, she was working on vegetation of her own. At first I was bitterly disappointed, but then I realized, surely this is even better than what I'd aimed for. I'd wanted Martian vegetables, and here I am with moss that is completely native to the red planet. Only 57 grams of it survived the trip, and you see here before you the full 57 grams. First Martian dinner, just for me. I had intended to use my speaker's fee from this event to hire one of my old head chefs for the evening to prepare this for me, but this particular institution only ever really reimburses expenses, and with a £75 limit too. So I am forced to present you with Martian moss as prepared by Dave from the Red Lion, which is a public house just down the road from my hostel. Dave's employer spoke very highly of him, and he was available on short notice. I noted that he needed to Google how to cook moss, which raised an eyebrow, as I consider that to be fairly basic culinary knowledge. But the point is, the dish is here, from a boulder in the Argier Basin all the way to my dinner plate, 74 million kilometers away, a monument to the sacrifices I have made for the sake of a true gourmet experience. I invite you to enjoy my reaction as I taste this most rare of meals. Oh, it appears I've been talking too long, and this dome isn't as heat retaining as was promised. May I please use the microwave in the green room? One moment, please. My apologies. As I was saying, please enjoy this most rare of experiences with me. One moment, please. Hi, Dave, it's me. Yes, just tucking into it now. You did follow my instructions about seasoning, yes? No, I said don't use any herbs or spices. I said at most you should sparingly use salt or pepper. Well, how much paprika did you put in? And you didn't think that might overpower any subtle flavour the moss has? What do you mean it tasted disgusting? How do you know how it tasted unseasoned? Well, how big a sample? Yes, I realise that teaspoons aren't very big, Dave, but when you've only got 57 grams to play with, it all adds up. Is there any of the unseasoned stuff left? It's all on my plate. Well, can you remember how it tasted? Right, I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Because I am supposed to be telling people here how it tasted, and I have no idea how it tasted, because this mush tastes like somebody emptied a pint of fucking paprika into it! Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, slight change of plan. It appears that I will not be the person to describe the taste of Martian moss to you. Despite bankrupting myself, despite bankrupting over 30 investors, whose relatives I then dropped a rocket on, despite nearly bankrupting the British government, despite presiding over an interplanetary mission in which 27 people have either been killed or lost to the cosmos, despite years of palate refinement in preparation for this moment, despite all the sacrifices I have made to be the only person on Earth able to describe the taste of Martian moss, that honour, as it turns out, belongs to Dave and the Red Lion, and to Dave alone. Dave, could you please tell us how it tasted?
It was all right. Bit watery.
Well, there you go. It was a bit watery. Not unlike moss on Earth, really. Probably a little more nuanced. More nuanced than Dave, whom I believe from his odour is a chain smoker, could appreciate. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my little talk. I was proposing to end with a little Q&A session, but it appears I do not have the answers I was hoping to. He really did a thorough job with this seasoning. Well, as I only have that one last taboo left, and that's probably the closest I'll come to tasting my Martian moss unseasoned, if any of you do have questions to ask me after this, you'll find me having dinner at the Red Lion. Good night.
No, please, God, no. I need a status report now. Hello? Hello? Hive? Shit. What's happened? What's going on? Start recording. This is B. There's been an accident and it feels like my suit's been shredded by something. There are holes everywhere, but the emergency seals aren't working. I guess part of the suit computer got hit too. Connection to Hive is dead. I've no idea how much oxygen I've got left, and without Hive I can't operate thrusters to get home. Okay. It was probably some small field of cosmic debris. Too small for sensors to bother warn me about. Tiny and insignificant. Right up until I hit someone else who was tiny and insignificant. It must have hit me with some force. I don't recognise where I am. Shit! I don't recognise where I am. I can't see the ship anywhere. I must have drifted for a while whilst I was knocked out. I need a reference point or something. Breathe, B. Breathe. Just look for a fixed object. A prominent star? An asteroid? Anything. Come on, anything will do. I can't see anything. Just void. Void everywhere. I'm being swallowed by the goddamn void. Tiny pinpricks of light everywhere, but I can't navigate with those. I can't move if I don't know which direction to move in. I'll just get more lost. Okay, take a minute. I was doing a spacewalk to satellite Epsilon 19 Delta. I had taken off the service panel and was plugging my suit in so that Hive could run a diagnostic. Then there was an alarm and pain in my head. Great. I'm lucky this damn glass didn't crack on my visor. Well, that's as lucky as I've gotten so far today anyway. I can't even see the clock. I've no idea how long I've been out of it. I should have checked in by now. Hive will send a distress call. Come on, B, think it through. It takes 32 minutes to scramble a rescue vehicle from Ellison Station to satellite Epsilon 19 Delta. I worked that out before leaving. So I'll get there, realise I'm missing, and then dig out the beacon on my suit. Then I'll have to fly from there to wherever the hell I've ended up, and I'll be home dry. So, 32 minutes plus whatever time it takes them to track me down once they're on scene. I can hold on that long. They aren't here yet, so I've obviously not been unconscious that long. Just got to wait. Hold still, spinning in the endless void and wait for my ride. You'll be okay, B. You've got this. Wish the damn computer's working. Could do with some mood music or something right now. I can't even tell where I got hit. Damn gear is on my back. What I wouldn't give for a mirror or a selfie stick right now. Seals are holding true on the tears of the suit though. It's good to know the emergency features are intact. It'd be nice to know how much air I've got left. I'll have vented a lot of it out on my suit tour. Don't think about that. Don't think about that. Worst case scenario, the tanks are empty. And I'll have whatever's in the suit itself. Half an hour or so. Hopefully, just over 32 minutes. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Plenty of... Breathe. Slowly. Come on. Don't waste air. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've got this. 5 things I can see. The stars. My boots. My gloves. The inside of my helmet. Some more stars, I guess. 4 things I could feel. The pain in my head. aching in both shoulders, numbness in my left leg, tingling in my fingers. 3 things that I can hear: my breath, my heartbeat, the mechanical whirring when I move my limbs. 2 things that I can smell: the sealant foam, and that's all really. It's pretty overpowering. One good thing about myself: I'm alive, and I'm going to stay alive. That's better. I'm going to stay alive. I keep thinking of all the horror stories of people this happened to who didn't make it. Stop it, B. That's not going to be me. I refuse. If you can step into space, you can step right back out of it again. I've just wasted goodness knows how much time panicking and feeling sorry for myself. Stupid. Not helpful. I could have been trying to fix my suit in that time. I could have been checking to see my beacon is actually working. I could have been doing any number of useful things. Get on with it, come on. First things first, why isn't Hive talking to me? The unit on my wrist isn't damaged, so the problem must be back there somewhere. There's an entire chunk of my suit missing, underneath my left shoulder blade. What goes there? The communications relay. That answers that question. That explains why Hive's being quiet. It can't send any messages. Fuck. Why isn't the local system working though? I need to see my status, goddammit. Come on! Wake up, you stupid bloody thing! Crap! Something just broke off inside the suit. Best pray I'm not wasting any more oxygen. Perfect! And now the screen's cracked too. Damn it, Hive! Why didn't you warn me about the debris? Are you trying to get me killed? You can sense a dust mite from a kilometre away. There's no way you didn't know I was going to get hit. Stupid computer! I should have had someone there, watching over me. Fucking Hornet calling in sick this morning. Stomach virus in my arse. He's hungover again. I should have dragged him out of bed and sat him in front of the control desk before I went out. Why come all the way out here if you're not going to do your job properly? We depend on each other for survival. You can't half-arse your job. I'm going to die because you snuck Hooch on board. No, it's not Hornet's fault. I could have postponed the walk. I could have got someone else. This is my fault. Come on, B. There's got to be something you can do. Comms gone completely. Not damaged. Gone. Shit! I can feel so many wires back there. I can't see what should go where. I can't fix anything. God, this is hopeless. I could try and power off wires, but I don't want to damage my suit any further. I should sit still and wait for my rescue. No, I can't do nothing. I can't rely on them finding me. I don't even know if my beacon is working properly. This is stupid, stupid. Okay, attempt number 1. The good news is I've not made it any worse. The bad news is I've not made it any better either. Attempt number 2. Nothing. 3rd time's the charm? Okay, only so many combinations I can make back there. Attempt number 4. 5. 6. Ugh. Something should have happened by now, good or bad. Something should have started working or exploding. Unless the battery drained completely. Can't do either without electricity. That's why it's not working or shorting out. Wonderful, just wonderful. If the power is out, then my beacon won't work properly. I can't send any messages, even if I had the comms gear still attached. I can't pump any oxygen either, so I'm stuck with whatever air was trapped in the suit with me. Can't do shit without power. No beacon to send a distress call, and I'm stuck waiting for them to realise I'm gone. In driftwood now, Bea. When I was back on Earth, I used to smoke cigarettes from time to time. Horrible things, I know, but I used to love the smell of them burning. Never managed a full cigarette though. Mum always caught me. Smoked behind the garage, Mum appeared. Smoked outside the bus shelter down the road, Mum appeared. Nipped out into the woods for a smoke, Mum appeared. One time, I lit up while she was away with work and she still managed to appear. She'd got an earlier train and came back just in time to catch me in the act. It's like cigarettes were some kind of mystical device to summon my mum from the ether. I really wish I had a cigarette right now. I forgot to water my plants before I came out. I thought I'd only be gone an hour or so. I hope Wasp remembers to do it. It's difficult keeping plants alive in space. The anthuriums hadn't flowered yet. I was looking forward to seeing what they looked like. Oh well, at least I'll snuff it before laundry due today. It would really suck to spend 3 hours cleaning everyone's unmentionables only to die immediately afterwards. I hope they make Hornet do it. His clothes are always the worst. I don't know how he keeps getting stains on his shirts. We ran out of ketchup months ago. Who am I even talking to? Nobody? The recording, maybe. Doesn't matter. Kind of hoped that when I died, there'd be somebody there to hold my hand when I faded out. Oh well. I really would love a cigarette right now, even if Mum didn't come with it. I wish I could pop my helmet off, have a last smoke, then flick the smouldering stub into the void while I said something cool like, "Take me away, boys." No, that's not cool. That's not a cool thing to say. Something like that though. Something a bit more deliberate and dignified. Instead, I'll probably die gasping. Doesn't matter. I doubt my body will be found. There's a comforting thought. I should have dragged Hornet out of bed this morning, or stayed in bed myself. Live and learn, I suppose. Or not. I should have stayed on Earth and fixed car engines with Dad, or gone into the family business with Mum. Settled down. Had kids or something. Maybe a dog. If I'd met the love of my life when I was at school, would I have marooned myself on space as an adult? Probably not. Always thought maybe I'd go back down to Earth, back home. Maybe I'd get sick of staring into inky blackness and go back to Earth and enjoy sunsets and blue skies. Thought I could evolve into the sort of person who would be happy with that life. Maybe I could have. Maybe I did and just wasn't ready to act on it yet. Snooze, you lose, I suppose. Do you remember the trip up? Getting into that shuttle with all the other wannabe space explorers and watching the view outside slowly turn black. The clouds over your head feel like giants when you're on Earth. Then you get to space and realise how tiny they really are. That feeling as the pull of the Earth grew suddenly and then gradually faded away until I didn't weigh anything anymore. That was the best feeling of my life. I was free. Free of Earth and all the pressures of living there. Free of society. Free of my mistakes. Free of gravity itself. Best day of my life, even if it led me to here. My whole earthly life jettisoned and replaced with the idea of infinite discovery. Out here is where I was meant to exist. Yeah. When I drift off, my body will keep sailing through the cosmos. My home. The perfect way to commemorate my life. That tingling is spreading all the way up my arms now. Oxygen starvation, unless I'm much mistaken. Suit, you've served me well over the years. I'm sorry that you've got to die with me. If it's all the same to you, though, I'd like to go out on my own terms. I'm going to count to 3, then take my helmet off, and face what comes next. No slowly succumbing to CO2 poisoning. All at once. Nice and quick. Thank you for your service. We did great things out here. 1, 2, 3.